Ruby Rose exploded on the scene in Orange is the New Black before landing the lead in Batwoman, but as soon as she arrived, she seemed to disappear from the limelight. What happened to her? Ruby Rose had established herself as a musician, model, actor, and all-round television personality in her native Australia when she joined the cast of Orange is the New Black in 2015. She debuted in the third season of the show as inmate Stella Carlin. It was a high-profile role and one she lobbied hard to land. As Rose explained to Rolling Stone at the time, she said, "I was a really big fan of the first 2 seasons. I had never binge-watched TV before Orange. Playing Stella proved to be a breakout part for Rose, but she exited the show after a major arc. Her character was last seen being hauled away to a maximum security facility due to a major betrayal." As notable as that role was, it paved the way to an even bigger opportunity when reports surfaced that she'd been cast in the titular role of the CW's new Batwoman series. Among the more intriguing aspects of the superhero she'd be playing was the character's sexuality, as the character's alter ego, Kate Kane, was openly gay. Appearing on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, she described it as a game changer.
Growing up watching TV, I never saw somebody on TV that I could identify with, let alone a superhero,
Ruby Rose made her debut as Batwoman in 2018 as part of the CW's Arrowverse Elseworlds crossover event, followed by the premiere of Batwoman in 2019. Shortly after the first season finale, Rose announced she was leaving the show. The plot thickened when TV Line reported Rose did not leave the show out of her own accord. A source told the outlet that the actor was far from happy on the set and it wasn't a pleasant experience for anyone. A few months later, Javicia Leslie was cast as Rose's replacement. In a subsequent interview with Comic Book Movie, Rose indicated she was open to returning to Batwoman, then subsequently claimed her exit was because she was allergic to latex in her costume. That was followed by a series of Instagram stories in which Rose claimed she was fired and didn't quit at all. She also alleged she suffered an injury on set and was ordered back to work 10 days after spinal surgery. As well as that, a private investigator had been hired to follow her. The studio fired back, blasting Rose's account as revisionist history. A spokesperson told BBC News, "The truth is that Warner Brothers Television had decided not to exercise its option to engage Ruby for Season 2 of Batwoman, based on multiple complaints about workplace behaviour that were extensively reviewed and handled privately out of respect for all concerned." During her single season on Batwoman, Ruby Rose became involved in an accident on the set while shooting a stunt sequence. A few months later, Rose took to Instagram to explain that the incident was responsible for the large scar she now had on her neck. She wrote, "A couple of months ago, I was told I needed an emergency surgery or I was risking becoming paralyzed. I had herniated 2 discs doing stunts and they were close to severing my spinal cord." Rose shared even more details of her accident during a 2019 appearance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, revealing she initially thought that she'd broken a rib, which would require between 6 and 12 weeks to heal. As the days passed, however, Rose experienced chronic back pain, assuming the pain was from her injured rib. While shooting a movie in Romania, she got an MRI that was sent to her doctor, who immediately responded and told her that she was at risk of becoming paraplegic. By 2021, Rose had healed enough to return to stunt work in subsequent projects. Speaking to NME, she credited her surgery for making her neck even more resilient than it was to begin with. She said, "I feel better than ever about stunts. I have a replacement neck. It's basically bionic. It's probably stronger than anyone else's neck." After her Batwoman exit and revelations about the injury and surgery that preceded it, Ruby Rose returned to making action movies. Having previously appeared opposite Keanu Reeves in John Wick Chapter 2 and co-starring with Jason Statham in The Meg, she next jumped into SAS Red Notice, in which she played the leader of a crew of elite criminals who hijack a train beneath the English Channel. Starring alongside Rose was Sam Heughan of Outlander fame, portraying a Special Forces operative who just happens to be a passenger on that train. Naturally, this leads to an epic clash between the government agent and the criminal mastermind. As Rose explained in an interview with Sky News, both her character and Heughan's are essentially psychopaths, but on opposite sides of the law. She said, "This is such a complicated and complex situation where I get to play a character I don't get to do very often. It was really the psychological aspect about being able to play a psychopath and have other characters as psychopaths." Rose remained on the action track for her subsequent movies, the thriller Vanquish and Stowaway, in which she starred as a party girl who turns the tables on a gang of thieves who take over her luxury yacht. Based on Andy McNabb's best-selling novel, SAS Red Notice featured a first-rate cast that included Ruby Rose, Sam Heughan, Andy Serkis and Tom Wilkinson, filmed in various stunning European locales. Her next picture, however, did not fare so well. The action thriller Vanquish sees Rose as a mother trying to move beyond her past as a Russian drug mule, until a nefarious ex-cop, played by Morgan Freeman, kidnaps her daughter and forces her to execute his violent plans.
Yeah, so working with Morgan Freeman, he's one of my idols. He's an amazing actor.
The film's Rotten Tomatoes score was dismal at 5%, and reviews were brutal. Rose, in fact, was also singled out for an award nomination, but not a good one. She was nominated for a Razzie, earning a nod in the Worst Actress category. Luckily for Rose, she was spared the indignity of actually winning the Razzie. Ruby Rose has been candid about her personal life in various interviews, sometimes painfully so. Expectedly, it shouldn't have come as a surprise when she revealed plans to write a book about her experiences. In February 2023, she shared a post on her Instagram story in which she hinted at an upcoming memoir. Her message read, "Book writing, the truth. It will piss a lot of people off, but maybe you should have been better." Discussing the memoir in a 2023 interview with The Guardian, Rose admitted she'd started writing about a decade earlier, but stopped. However, she resumed writing and was far happier with what she had written recently than she was with her previous efforts. "I'm glad I didn't release the one back then. I cringe at some of it. I've had ups, I've had downs. I've lived very publicly and not always been the best representation of myself." Speaking with the Sydney Morning Herald, Rose insisted that one thing fans should not expect from her memoir is a gossip-filled tell-all affair. She said, "I want this book to be a little bit of what I've been through, and what I learned from that, and what I feel like might be able to help somebody else who's gone through something similar or is going through a tough time." Ruby Rose's career has taken her down some distinctive paths, from MTV VJ to television superhero to being the face of makeup brand Urban Decay. It wasn't until 2023, however, that she added a new entry to her already hefty resume: stage actor. That summer, Rose made her stage debut in her hometown of Melbourne, appearing in a production of 222: A Ghost Story at Her Majesty's Theatre.
But I really wanted to do something that would be challenging, and I didn't think it would be this much fun.
As any actor will confirm, the experience of acting in front of a camera is very different from performing in front of a live audience. Speaking to Time Out Melbourne, Rose said, "Everyone kept saying it was so brave of me to agree to do a stage production. And I was like, wait, what? Why do I not feel nervous? And then I started getting nervous that I wasn't nervous." Reviews were largely negative, including for Rose's performance. Ruby Rose was just 12 when she came out as openly gay. She told The Guardian that her mother was entirely supportive, but her school classmates were anything but. As a result of it, she experienced verbal and physical bullying. One incident in particular left her so badly injured she was forced to change schools. She said, "I got beaten up by about 4 girls and 1 guy in front of about 50 people. I ended up with lacerations, big bruises, concussion. I'd been bullied a lot, but not to this degree where I was worried for my life." Looking back, Rose admitted that if she could do it all over again, with the knowledge of just how homophobic her peers would be, she would have waited until she was older before coming out. She told Glamour, "I got bullied for it. I got tormented. I felt like I got crucified at school." As Rose grew older, though, she noticed a cultural shift, which she felt was the result of the TV show The L Word, which follows the lives of a group of lesbians in Los Angeles. Pointing to the importance of media representation, she said, "I was getting ready to graduate, and then The L Word came out, and suddenly everyone at school was gay. It made life livable for me." When Ruby Rose returned to Melbourne to prepare for her role in 222: A Ghost Story, she also used the opportunity to give back to the community, especially a particular segment that holds a special place in her heart. That was made crystal clear in a news release in February 2023. Rose had partnered with the Hilton hotel chain and -18 for a new initiative that would hold inclusive school formals for queer teens. Rose said, "As a queer person who came out at a very young age, I cannot overstate the importance of this cause." In fact, Rose began attending -18 events soon after she came out at 12. Speaking to the Sydney Morning Herald, she said, "I went by myself and I walked in, and it was the first time I felt completely free and safe to be who I was." Rose also opened up about what a large role -18 played in her own adolescence when she appeared on Australia's Today.
-18 is an organisation very close to my heart because from the age of, I think, 12 or 13, I got involved as just a participant.
After making it big in her native Australia, Ruby Rose did what so many other Aussie actors over the years have done by heading to Hollywood. Basing herself in Los Angeles, Rose has been at the epicenter of the entertainment industry since moving there in 2013. In 2017, she bought a house and sold it at a profit in 2021. She would come to appreciate her homeland a lot more after a decade spent in the US. Interviewed by the Daily Telegraph's Stella magazine in 2023, she admitted that recent attitudes she had seen towards the LGBTQIA+ community were proving proving very disturbing for her, to the point that she was feeling a toll taken on her mental health. She said, "I don't know that I have the emotional bandwidth and energy to withstand another year of living in the States with that anger and that oppression and what they're doing to the gay community and the trans community. It has become so exhausting." At the time of that interview, she was back in Melbourne, a place she confessed she missed considerably while living in America. Speaking to Time Out Melbourne, she said, "There's nowhere else in the world like Melbourne when it comes to food, art, entertainment, and culture. As soon as I wake up in my hotel, I think, where can I go? What can I do? What can I see? What coffee can I get?"